Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, there was another news story that I wanted to share with you that talked about how, on a very popular hiking trail, a homeless man attacked a woman and shanked her. Now, interestingly, at the end of the segment, everyone can clearly see that the liberals were like, oh, we don't know for sure if he was homeless. But the people who are interviewed in the video were clearly pointing out that no matter where you go, there's tons of homeless, and that something has to be done with the authorities. So these contradictions in the video show you how PC culture is a big problem, because it's making justice and safety be put at a huge risk, because they don't want to offend people by calling them, oh, homeless people were attacking, because you have to be a sort of bleeding heart liberal that makes excuses for unethical behavior. Oh, they're homeless, they just want bread. You know, they're usually really safe, so it's no problem having them roam around in the streets. And so, if you recall, yesterday I posted a video how a homeless man was just throwing rocks into the freeway on the highway, and it caused a motorcycle crash and people to get flat tires. And in the past, I've shared multiple stories, and now I'm going to share this one where a woman was out and about, and in the secular liberal atheist hellhole known as California, where they have soft on crime policies, and where they wanted to defund the police and did in many respects, where they demonized police. Now, there's problems with some cops for sure, but their overall treatment of officers is quite despicable. And the same place where they say women have no right to Second Amendment tools, women shouldn't be allowed to carry knives, women, if they have a male chaperone, that's a misogyny and oppression. So, you know, what can a woman do in order to be a liberal is maybe have a dog. But if she lives in an apartment, she's not going to be able to have a dog. So, liberals are quite strange. They make excuses for the homeless, drug addicts who are violent. And they tell you, everyone should just be allowed to be out there. You know, who are you to tell them? You know, you don't know their struggles. But there should be laws enforced where, no, you can't be out there. And there should be more cops doing beats. But because they have a limited budget, because they cut funding, well, now you can't spare a cop to keep the trails safe. I've often mentioned on my blog how you know you are in a safe area if you can have a place where a woman is safe enough to go with her stroller and be fine, or walk while pregnant. If you recall, I also shared a story how in downtown LA, in the housing area, there was a woman pushing a stroller, and a homeless man had a metal pipe and beat her while she was pushing the stroller. He attacked her, and no one came to help her. She screamed and had to just push the stroller really fast away. And liberals will consistently make excuses for the homeless to be allowed to gather. This has been documented by so many people, and the only ones who deny this are people like Bosch, really scummy people who are inside all the time and don't have children. And to them, a mentally ill drug addict pleasuring themselves in the street is no big deal, you know. Yet those types wouldn't want to live in a country where that is all allowed, right? But they seem to want it for America little by little. But I digress. So here we see how liberal women voted themselves into hating the police and hating firearms and to coddling criminals and drug addicts. And now what's the result? Danger, more crimes against women. Islam tells women, hey, you should have a male chaperone. Stay in your homes, pretty much be as safe as you can. Islam doesn't deny women self-defense tools. But if a feminist hears that a Muslim woman doesn't go out without a male chaperone as much as possible, she will call that woman oppressed. A feminist will eat an edible, have her earpods in, her AirPods, and go out and just be like, everything's fine, you know. Down with the patriarchy, F the police, and all this stuff. And you just see this leftist feminist mentality, and you're like, it's totally delusional. But to be fair, there are some women who will be like, yeah, you can have a knife to protect yourself, but they don't want police to have more funding. And the police don't have more funding, but you have lots of drug addicts. Well, now everyday citizens have to take justice into their own hands. And if you are going to get in trouble with the law for defending yourself against a junkie, you're going to have problems. You see how time and time again, there was I wish I could remember the name. He was like a white guy with blonde curly hair, and there was a performer who was high, and he was threatening people on the subway. He put the guy in a chokehold, and then I don't know if the guy died, but he's in jail now and he's going to trial, and people were like, he's a monster. And then people on Timcast were saying this is another reason why men don't want to intervene anymore, because if you do try to help out, you can actually get punished. And so people aren't being allowed to have self-defense tools. They are not being allowed to use what they deem as reasonable force, because the homeless and just vagrant criminals appear to have more rights than honorary citizens. And so I want to start documenting more these contrarian takes and the results on and fruits of the left wing in America, which consists of the liberals, Democrats, progressives, and atheists. Because, you know, they contend they have the right measures for the world. Well, let's see how their most condensed areas flourish. Liberals hold majority power, and in California, you can clearly see the results of their fruit. So women have to ask themselves, what's it going to be? Are you going to keep saying, you know, be soft on crime? Or are you going to let men lead and crack down on these criminals? It's fascinating. It really is. And I like I mentioned this in the past. I had a friend whose sister was like, it's a Christian thing to just let the homeless be there. Why should it be criminalized to be homeless? And, you know, how can you just move them and punish them? And meanwhile, she lives in a place where crime is extremely low. The homeless population is nothing compared at all to California. And so it boggles my mind how people who don't have to endure the dangers that the homeless drug addicts bring will spout that you should have more compassion for them. And the other side is people not wanting to offend liberals in their community by saying, you know, homeless people should be cleared. They think you have to allow the homeless people to be outside because the government is corrupt, and they name all these reasons as to what causes homelessness, and their solution is, okay, one solution is it should not be illegal to camp outside and be homeless, and you should legalize, tax, and regulate all drugs. So for them, you should be able to get high any time of day, any time of night, and be a public nuisance. So they say, well, you can get high as much as you want as long as you're not harming anyone else. But harm isn't just measured by physicality, but by the trash you leave behind, the noise pollution, the overall feeling you give of tension around the people, the putrid smell, the visual of you just injecting heroin and defecating on yourself, that's a problem. You know, it's not a safe environment for children. And so by allowing the homeless to be out there, you tell them that they don't have to change, and then you tell the good people that they just have to endure the chaos, and then you let children see that they don't matter. But what matters more is that the homeless vagrant is able to shoot up drugs and piss themselves publicly for everyone to witness. So there's so many strange reasons as to why people become homeless, but women have to start realizing what liberals have done to California. And it's time for women to get smart. Have tools of self-defense. Try to go out with one of your male relatives or a male who you know will protect you. Go out in groups. Try avoid being alone. And this is just a woman who wanted to experience being outside. We have to fight for safety. We don't bend to the criminals. And you need to be thankful to your local police, and you need to pressure your local politicians to forget the leftist defund the police, abolish prisons ideology. The Wokians, they'll make, oh, send a social worker. The social worker could have been there and told them not to shank that woman by herself. And then just on that same note, there was a viral video where a woman there was a man approaching her in a parking garage. She got really nervous, got in her car, and vented how she was afraid, and Vosh made fun of her, saying, "True crime has melted women's brains." And this was, I found that to be a quite putrid comment, because women, you have to be very skeptical of men and never assume safety. I'm sorry, men can get insulted by that all they want, but the truth of the matter remains that men are the number one threat to women. Yes, there's good men who protect women from bad men, but regardless, you can't deny how men can be quite dangerous. Earth is a dangerous planet, and men hurt women all over the world every minute of every day. So women have to be smart, and women hurt men in other ways. That's not my point. My point is that the last thing a society needs is homeless men high on crystal meth or on fentanyl and roaming around hallucinating, malnourished, and desperate. We don't need that. We have to be more civilized. Okay? And we need men to be the leaders. Women got us into this mess for being bleeding hearts for the homeless. They nurtured criminals. They nurtured the sloths when men had more of a system of keeping those guys in line. And now look what we got. So this will be another reminder to have a security mindset when you go out. Be out there with a wise attitude. Keep your head on a swivel. Be thankful for days of peace. Pray for peace. Pray for your community. And stay alert. Stay alert. Let me know what you think. And if you'd like to join my blog and read more about what I write and support my content, you can do so by going to www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.